Some mornings, you sit down with a hot cup of coffee. The house is quiet. The air's still. And for the first time in a long time, no one needs anything from you, and it hits you. Not like a big, dramatic realization, more like a breath you didn't know you were holding, finally letting go. This is your life now. Just you. Your space. Your time. And maybe, for the first time, you don't feel the urge to fill the silence. Because the silence isn't empty. It's peaceful. Now, not everyone understands that feeling. They think living alone must mean something's missing, that you're waiting for someone, or recovering from something. But there are women out there who are thriving in that quiet. Not just making peace with it, thriving in it. Women who've discovered that being alone doesn't mean being without. It means being full, finally. Each one lives a little differently, but they've all found their own rhythm, their own voice, their own way of moving through the world, and they're not looking back. So today, I want to talk about 5 kinds of women who are happiest living alone. Not because they gave up on something, but because they came home to themselves. You might recognize someone you know. You might recognize yourself. Let's start there. Before we dive in, if you find comfort in honest conversations like this, hit subscribe. We share stories that don't just pass time, they help make sense of it. Let's start with the woman who doesn't second-guess herself. She's spent most of her life making decisions for her job, for her kids, for her partner. And now, for once, she makes decisions for one person, herself. This is the justice woman. She's not bitter, she's not defensive, she's just done asking for permission. There's a story of a woman named Dolores, 71, retired judge, lived in Chicago most of her life. When she turned 70, she packed up and moved to a town on the Oregon coast where she didn't know a soul. When asked why, she said, "Because I can." That was it. No fanfare, no long story. She didn't owe anyone a long explanation. She said, "I've spent my life considering everybody else's needs. I've got a few good decades left. I want to see how they feel when I build them around my own." The justice woman doesn't resist companionship, but she doesn't need it to feel whole. She's open to love, but allergic to compromise that costs her peace. When she wants to change the paint in the bedroom, she just does it. When she wants to take a trip, she books it. No, we'll see. No, let me check. It's not about being stubborn, it's about being self-led. She's not asking to be agreed with. She's simply claiming the life she's earned. If that sounds like you, if you've ever felt more yourself the moment you stopped explaining your choices, then you already know what it feels like to live like the justice woman. Some women come alive in the quiet. They don't just tolerate solitude, they need it. Not to hide from the world, but to hear themselves clearly. These women don't crave applause. They don't need constant plans or a full dinner table. Their world is richly internal. Thoughts, colors, music, ideas. That's the high priestess. There's a story of a woman named Jeanette, a retired music librarian who lived by a small reservoir in upstate New York. You'd never know she was alone unless she told you. Her days were filled with candlelit breakfasts, piano melodies she composed for no one but herself, and journals tucked in every drawer. She said, "There's a whole world inside me. I don't need noise to feel connected." Jeanette didn't fear intimacy. She just found a different kind of fulfillment. In her 60s, she said she finally understood that solitude wasn't something to escape. It was something to cultivate. If you've ever felt most awake while sitting by a window in silence, or if you've found yourself happily lost in a project no one will ever see, You might know what it means to be a high priestess. She's not trying to avoid life. She's choosing to live it deeply, from the inside out. Now, there's a woman I think we all know. The one who's always been there, always giving. She was the one packing lunches, remembering birthdays, staying up late to help with homework or calm someone's fears. Her love has been the backbone of her family, her community, her friendships. This is the nurturer. But at some point, the people she once cared for so fiercely, they grew up, moved on, or passed on. And for the first time, she looked around and realized she needed care too. There's a woman named Lynn, a retired nurse who raised 4 children and cared for her husband through a long illness. When she found herself living alone in her early 70s, she didn't know what to do with the quiet. She said, "I spent so long being needed, I forgot how to need myself." But over time, something shifted. She started making herself full breakfasts, not toast and coffee, but the real kind. Eggs, fruit, beautiful plates, even just for one. She bought herself fresh flowers, put her favorite songs on while folding laundry, started keeping a little notebook of things that brought her joy. Just small things, like a well-brewed cup of tea or a letter in the mail. She didn't stop being a caregiver. She just finally turned some of that care inward. The nurturer who lives alone isn't selfish. She's recovering from decades of putting everyone else first. And now she's finding out what it means to be gentle with herself. If you've ever had to learn how to sit still without jumping up to check on someone else. If you've ever felt guilty for taking a nap, you might be this woman. And the work you're doing now, learning to include yourself in your own circle of care, is quiet, sacred work. Now we come to the woman who knows exactly how far she's come, because she walked every inch of the road herself. She's worked, saved, planned, sacrificed. She didn't wait for someone to build her a life. She built it herself. This is the Queen of Pentacles. There's a woman named Nora who fits this to a T. She ran her own accounting firm for 25 years, raised her son alone, bought a small cabin on a piece of land she paid off herself. When asked once if she ever felt lonely, she shook her head and said, "I feel full. I feel steady. I get to wake up and know this life was built by my own 2 hands." She's not opposed to companionship, but she's no longer willing to trade peace for company. The Queen of Pentacles might still be working, or she might be retired. But the common thread is this: she's self-sufficient, not just financially, but emotionally. She supports causes that matter to her. She donates to the community center. She brings soup to her neighbor when she's sick. But she doesn't open her front door to just anyone, because the life she's built is solid, and she's not interested in anyone who doesn't respect that. If you've ever felt like your independence was mistaken for arrogance, if you've ever had to protect the quiet you earned, you know this woman, and you know her strength isn't in her walls, it's in her foundation. Finally, we come to the woman who doesn't speak just to fill the air. She's past the age of proving herself. She doesn't chase attention. She doesn't perform. She observes. She reflects. She remembers. This is the sage. Her wisdom isn't in what she's done, but in how she lives now. There's a story of a woman named Bernadette at a community storytelling event. She sat in the back for most of the session, listening. When she finally stood up to speak, the room went completely quiet. She didn't offer advice. She just shared a moment from her life with such stillness, such presence, that it shifted something in the room. That's what the sage does. She changes things just by being. She's not lonely. She's anchored. She has friendships, but they're intentional. She has space, but it's sacred. She walks slowly. She lives deeply. And she trusts herself more than she ever did in her younger years. You might be this woman if you've made peace with your past, if you've stopped looking for answers from other people, if you've learned to value your own company in ways you never imagined. The sage reminds us that solitude isn't the absence of life, it's the presence of awareness. So, what do we make of all this? Maybe you saw yourself in one of these women. Maybe you felt flashes of all five. That's the thing. These aren't boxes, they're mirrors. Ways to understand the quiet strength of women who no longer ask for permission to be who they are. They're not single because they gave up. They're not alone because something went wrong. They've simply arrived, in every sense of the word, and they've chosen to live with intention. If that's you, if your days are shaped by your own rhythm, if your home reflects who you are rather than who you're supposed to be, then I hope you know you're not an outlier. You're not strange. You're steady. You're clear. You're right where you're meant to be. There's a kind of joy that doesn't shout, a kind of wisdom that isn't loud, a kind of beauty that belongs to the woman who's learned to sit in her own company and say, "This life, it's enough." And maybe, just maybe, it's more than enough. If any part of this spoke to you, if you saw yourself in one of these women, or recognize someone you love, I'd love to hear about it. Tell me which part resonated with you most. What kind of quiet have you learned to cherish? What kind of strength have you found in solitude? Leave a comment below and join the conversation. This space is yours too.